Hey guys, I thought I'd just show you how to use some of the stuff I set up in Lab Manager, and I figured it'd be easier to understand just by looking at it than reading the stuff I wrote. There's some notes in the Lab Manager article, stuff I wrote about the workspaces and individual operating systems and things like that. So if you want to look at that, that'll help you out some of that. But this is just for really using it. First of all, you can VPN in and use the Lab Manager server. The IP is 10.21.50.20. If you're on campus, no need for the VPN. One problem I ran into is browser compatibility. I had to use Firefox 3.6. 4 has some issues with the way it has drop-down menus and everything, but once you get all that set up, you should be okay. When you go to the IP address, you're presented with login. All the CCDC users are CCDC number 1 through 7. If you want, you can go in and change them for individual users. You'll just have to ask somebody who has right privileges. You might be able to do it yourself. And the password for all of them is lowercase CCDC #001. You should log right in. This is the main page, and I guess I can get started and show you how some of this stuff works. Everything in Lab Manager works with something called configurations, and configurations are just a set of virtual machines. So this is a set, they're all networked together. You can click right here, take a look at what you have. Here's all the information on them. You can even look at how they're networked. I explained fencing and the networking, but since everything we use is going to be on Lab Manager internal, you shouldn't have to worry too much about that. A configuration is just a set of virtual machines that you create. So if you were to go create a new configuration in the CCDC workspace, you just do new configuration, and here you set all the settings for each VM. You don't build VMs straight inside of your configuration. You use VM templates. So I'll take you down there. Inside of VM templates, these are all the ones I have, and basically they're an image wherever you set the system at for when you undeploy it and publish it. And publishing just means that it's available for people to use. This just means, if you wanted to have like 5 server 03 boxes, you don't have to install everything on them once. You go through the install process, get the vanilla install up and running, publish that, and then you can just make copies of it. If you're going to make a new virtual machine, you come in here, fill out the information, make sure you use storage 1 for everything, storage 2, Twitch and Sager's used for something else. Define your guest OS, and then when you pick that, it'll set up some of these settings for you, like it'll pick which bus type is best. Use thin provisioning. It just means it doesn't take the hard drive space, it allocates it over time. Set your memory, you can create a new one. Once you get everything done, you can publish it, and then you can go into a config if you want to have, say, your own unique configuration. Outside of configurations, like one step above, is workspaces, and workspaces are just the sets of configurations. Right now there's only one, but if there were more configurations, you'd see them down here. And it's just useful for, let's say, if someone's working on their own personal configuration, but they need help, you can share the config and you guys can come in and work on it. You all share the same workspace, and you can all access the same configurations as long as you share them properly. But yeah, the last thing is, if you say want to save a configuration or use one that somebody's created, you can use them from the library. The library is kind of like configuration templates. So I set up a lab with Backtrack and Metasploitable, which is just basically if you want to try some pen testing. Included links on the sites where it's all done, so if you need help with it. But basically the library is just a set. So I sent something to the library. This was a config I made before, and I can clone it to my workspace, which would be CCDC. Here you name it, so just BT5 test. Down here you can select the virtual machines. It's just better to use them all, and this will actually do like a complete clone to the CCDC workspace. Here, sorry. And here you can see now there's two configurations and it's deploying them. When you first get your configurations, they'll be undeployed, so you'll just have to come in here and do deploy with defaults. Undeploying just means it takes away like the CPU reservation and the memory. It just takes it offline so it's not eating up resources. One thing to note with it, I put this in the notes, is with networking. Even though, like, if you have, like in this config, we have some machines that run off DHCP, so like the Windows 7 box is getting DHCP from here. Lab Manager thinks its IP address is 183, so in the DHCP server on Windows, on server 03, you just have to make sure you give it that. Otherwise, there's a virtual router that sits right outside this configuration that won't recognize the IP address and won't give it any external access. So even if you have DHCP running and it's getting an IP address and you're having networking issues, that could be it. Notes for operating systems with Linux. There's no licensing, so there's nothing with the SID, but the networking doesn't configure quite right. So when you deploy a new VM, just make sure you go and check the networking settings to make sure they're working right. With Windows, there will probably be some licensing and setup issues because basically when you deploy a VM, either from a template to a new configuration, it has to make it unique. So it'll change all the internal setting, the configuration on that VM, but keep everything else the same. So the SID will change, you might have to register, but if you install the program on that template and deploy the template, the program will still be there, but then Windows is going to tell you you have to re-register it. So yeah, I think that's about it. When you create a VM template, you'll have to load media. That's like CDs. I included a bunch in here. If you want to add more, you're going to need to talk to Dr. Twitchell or Dr. Sagers. They just have to upload it on there. And I think that should be it. You should be able to come in here and build a configuration if you want to make your own custom one, or check one out from the library that I've already made. And from here, here you can see this has been created, and then you just deploy it, and then you can access them. But you should be able to go in and make your own custom labs if you'd like to now. One thing to note is you can share them with people if you all want to work. So like if you had 5 people, you could all access this configuration. So yeah, if there's any other questions, you can email me at smith.chris247@gmail.com or talk to one of the professors. But that should be enough to get you off the ground. If you have any other questions, just let me know. Thanks.